Where you choose to stay in Japan can kind of make or break your trip. Not to be dramatic, but it can. And it's one of the things I get asked about the most as someone who's been doing YouTube and who's lived in Japan for many years now. So I kind of want to do an overview of hotels, like where you could stay in Japan. So we're going to talk about different types of accommodation, areas, and what to look out for. So first, types of accommodation in Japan. Like most countries in the world, Japan has high, middle, and low-end hotels. High-end, we have the standard, the Conrad and things like that. Mid-range is actually where I think most people are gonna want to stay once I explain a bit more. Hotels in Japan are very clean and decent usually, first of all, but low-end hotels have a big problem, and that is size. Not all of them, but a lot are super small, like smaller than this room I'm in right now. Because when you get to the low end, you have things like business hotels, which a lot of people book without even realizing it. And what business hotels are originally they were meant for, like business travelers around Japan, just staying for like 1 or 2 nights, just need somewhere to sleep. That's all it is. It's literally just a bed. You can barely stand up, and that's the room. If you're traveling alone, great option. 2 or more people, it can get really tight because I'm assuming you're gonna have like a big suitcase and there's no space to put a suitcase really. Okay, I'm not gonna name specific hotels because honestly, there's so many hotels in Tokyo and so many chains. So honestly, just, once you pick your area, look through, decide on one. But price ranges, things have really changed a lot here. Ever since Japan reopened after COVID, there has been a huge influx of foreign tourists, and that has contributed to some pricing changes, and hotels are kind of pricing out Japanese people a lot of the times now. A business hotel used to run you like maybe 10,000 yen. Nowadays, it's hard to find one for less than that in Tokyo. Even hostels in Tokyo and things like that, you're gonna look at like 6,000 yen a night sometimes or more for like a bunk bed in Tokyo. This is important. Mid-range, I'd say, would run anywhere from like 25,000 yen to 50,000 yen. And then high end is higher than that. I'd say stay in the mid-range hotels if you aren't alone or really trying to budget. I think 20,000 to 30,000 a night is pretty fine. At least you'll be able to lay out your suitcase. But we don't just have hotels in Tokyo. There's also like novelty accommodation things, which I know you probably see these on TikTok. Like there's like anime or like Hello Kitty themed collaboration hotels sometimes. These can get pricey and are really hard to book, but if you do, it's fun. And there's also things like capsule hotels. Again, it used to be aimed at the Japanese businessmen who like missed the last train or something, but now they're kind of marketed just to tourists. Also, I've stayed in a capsule hotel before. It kind of sucks. If you're not a heavy sleeper, I don't recommend it. Expanding outside of Tokyo, I'm just talking about Tokyo a lot because this is the most expensive city in Japan. If you go anywhere to the countryside, which I recommend in every single travel video I have, please go to the countryside. You will miss out on like actual Japan if you don't. I really recommend staying at a ryokan or a Japanese inn if you can. The experience here is going to be totally different from your normal hotel, and definitely stay at one that has a onsen or like a hot spring bath situation if you can. It's very nice. If you don't want to do the public bath thing, there are a lot of them with private ones too, or like rentals. And ryokan usually come with food. I recommend you get the food plan if it is a choice. They usually have like a dinner and or breakfast option. I would do at least one, if not both of them. What a lot of people are worried about is that they don't want to sleep on the floor, on the tatami, on the futon, which I totally get. But a lot of ryokan nowadays actually have like a bed option too. So don't let it stop you. Please look into ryokan. They're very good. An alternative option similar to that would be a minshuku. This is like a bed and breakfast, not an Airbnb, like a normal bed and breakfast. And this can be a very fun, unique experience. If you're in the countryside, this is also something I would look into, as opposed to just staying at like a normal hotel. And then there is Airbnbs. Airbnbs are hard. There was a big crackdown on Airbnbs in Japan about 5 or 6 years ago, I think, where they like really upped the restrictions on them. They're okay, but I'd be careful. Like, you don't want to have to take the garbage out because like Japanese garbage rules are very annoying. And I don't know, I'd really look into it. I think it's okay if it's like the experience kind of Airbnb, like, you're in a cabin or something, or if you're like a large family, things like that. But generally, I don't know, I prefer hotels. And if you're looking for a kind of experience stay, there's also other things like temple lodgings, which I've done in Wakayama before. This is pretty popular, where basically you stay the night in a temple. And it's kind of like a bare bones Japanese inn, I guess. Like the one I stayed at had like a communal bathroom, but the rooms were individual. It's very unique. Like you can wake up at 5 and do the prayers or whatever if you want to. They serve like the traditional temple vegetarian meal for dinner, that kind of thing. And then there's also things like farm stays where, you know, you can stay the night on someone's farm and maybe help them pick oranges or something. And then they cook you food, that kind of thing. There's a lot of cool stuff in Japan if you look for it, but it is kind of hard to get out to the countryside, I know, but I really recommend it if you can. And then there's also hostels. Hostels in Japan are, in my experience, quite clean, quite safe, and private, at least compared to other countries. I used to stay at hostels a lot when I was younger. They're a totally fine option, and there's actually quite a few of them here where you get your own private room, but it's a shared bathroom. That's my favorite kind, you know. They even do have hostels like in the countryside cities sometimes. Like I stayed at one in Matsumoto one time. That's good too if you're trying to save money. There is one type of accommodation you really need to be aware of, and that is the Love Hotel, which is for what you probably think it's for. It is for couples to go to and do activities in. I see a lot of people online who mistakenly book a Love Hotel. If you think the hotel is too cheap or it looks kind of weird, might be a Love Hotel. So while you're traveling in Japan, you're gonna want to always stay connected because free Wi-Fi here is very much hit or miss. And that is why I am happy to say the sponsor of today's video is Saily. If you don't know already, Saily is a new eSIM service app brought to you by Nord Security. And eSIMs like Saily let you stay connected so you don't have to try to connect to these really spotty bad Wi-Fi networks. What eSIMs like Saily do is it lets your phone automatically connect to the local cell phone towers, basically wherever you are. So this keeps you connected, you can talk to people, you can use your data, and now you don't have to carry around pocket Wi-Fi or anything like that, which I always forget in the hotel. And Saily especially is really easy to use and install. I've used it multiple times in multiple countries, including Japan, and it actually has worked better in Japan than my actual cell phone plan. So all you have to do is download the Saily app, which you can do so through this QR code right here, and then choose what country you're going to. They have over 200 destinations available now, so chances are, even if you're not going to Japan, which you should be, they'll have where you're going. And then choose how much data you want. And then after that, all you have to do is install the eSIM on your phone and make sure you activate it before you travel, before you get on the airplane. Then once you land, your phone is just gonna connect to the local network automatically. It makes everything so much easier. So when you do go to buy your eSIM, make sure you use my code AllisonInTokyo at checkout to get an exclusive deal of 15% off your first purchase. Or go to download the app through my link at saily.com/AllisonInTokyo. Thank you, Saily, as always. Next, people always ask where exactly in Tokyo I recommend they stay. There's no answer. Tokyo is a very big city and it's very spread out. So that means there's no like one central area. There's kind of multiple and they're all kind of far apart from each other. So where you should stay, honestly, it's gonna depend on you. It depends on what you want to do while you're here and what kind of traveler you are, I'd say. So by that, I mean like, do you want to go shopping a lot in like Shibuya and Shinjuku as your main activities? Because if so, don't get a hotel in Asakusa on the other side of the city that's like almost an hour away. Maybe you hate shopping. Maybe you only want to be around traditional quiet streets, traditional Japan, then Asakusa would be a better choice. Do you want to go to bars and clubs at night? Do you want a more relaxed area with a lot of cafes? Basically, anywhere in Tokyo is going to be good. There are like a few dangerous areas in Tokyo, but compared to the US, what's considered a dangerous area here is different. I would say I wouldn't stay in Kabukicho unless you like nightlife and kind of sketchy nightlife. I don't know, that's just me. I really don't like Kabukicho. It's very dirty. I think you're kind of going to be happy wherever you do stay though. I would just say stay within the Yamanote line, which is like this big main kind of local train line that makes like a circle around the city. As long as you're staying somewhere either on or like within the Yamanote line, you're gonna kind of be close to everything. There are some exceptions, like Asakusa is not on the Yamanote line. Personally, I also don't like Shinjuku Station because that station is a nightmare. And if I had to go through that station every day, I've lived here for years. I still get lost in that freaking place almost every time I go. So how should you choose a hotel? There are things you need to be aware of and that you should pay attention to. One of those is probably the most important thing of a hotel here is how far away it is from the station. A 15-minute walk may not sound like much now, but once you're trying to get home at the end of a long day where you've been walking like 20,000 plus steps, that extra 15 minutes is going to not be fun, especially if it like rains or something. I would say ideally your hotel should be within 10 minutes of the station. The closer the better. And you should also pay attention to how many lines you can use. Tokyo has many train lines running through it, but if you can possibly be on a station with 2 train lines, at least that's gonna be really good. It's not the end of the world if it's only 1, it just means you're gonna have to transfer a lot. Also, something to note, if you are traveling with a small child in a stroller or someone who uses a wheelchair, please look up the station in advance because not all the stations in Tokyo have elevators still. Most of them have at least one now, but there's still some without them. So be careful. Also, if you have big heavy suitcases, it really sucks. I'm speaking from experience. Next, when you're choosing your hotel, again, I can't emphasize enough, especially for Americans, hotel rooms here are so much smaller than what you're used to. If you stay at one of the cheaper hotels, your room is going to be a box. That's just how it is. As long as you're okay with that, cool. But don't underestimate how small I'm talking. Please look up the room dimensions and also the bathroom size, because these smaller hotels, it's common for them just to have a unit bath, which basically means it's like kind of one connected thing. It's a very small bathroom. It's probably smaller than the size of my bed. My single bed. You're not gonna have a lot of room to get ready in the morning is what I'm trying to say. Also, room size here, they usually max out at 2 or 3 people, unless you're staying at like maybe Western chains. There are some that can fit 4, but it's very common for one room to just be for 2 to 3 people. And a lot of the time these are single beds. Be careful. I know a lot of people don't like that. But in Japan, people kind of prefer smaller separate beds, especially for traveling. Please look up the bed size of whatever hotel room you're staying in. A double bed does not mean a queen bed. Also, you need to make sure if the room is smoking or non-smoking. There are still quite a bit of hotels here that have smoking only rooms. You don't want to be in there if you don't smoke. Please double check, like especially if you're on like booking.com or that kind of thing. There is a line that says if the room is smoking or non-smoking. Check it. Another thing, in general, mattresses in Japan are going to be a lot firmer than US mattresses. There's kind of nothing you can do about that. Just a disclaimer. Also, sometimes you might get a bean pillow, especially at like Japanese hotels or kind of cheaper Japanese chains. Like the normal pillow you sleep on, a lot of the times, I don't know, I hate these things. It'll be like half beans and then on the other half is normal pillow. I don't know. It's a Japanese thing that I don't know. Another thing, I just briefly mentioned it earlier when talking about Japanese inns, but it's also not unheard of for a normal hotel to have a public bath. Dormy Inn is a big chain here that usually has a public bath. So if you're interested, check that out. And then also if you want breakfast or not, most reasonably priced hotels are just gonna have like a standard continental breakfast situation. And the food they offer is gonna be a mix of Western and Japanese food. Almost always, because like Japanese people eat toast and stuff for breakfast too. This is some of my advice. I know I don't have like one hotel for you to stay at because it's just, I don't know. It's too impossible, guys. Honestly, stay on the Yamanote line. That's my advice. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know if you have any other advice or what you learned, etc. Like the video, subscribe to my channel for more videos about Japan, my life here and traveling in the future, and I'll see you guys back here again soon. Bye.